Hello, I'm Adam,
I'm Dave.
and you're listening to Fiction.
Or nonfiction.
Cue music.
Fiction. Or nonfiction.
Hey, so this is the show where we go through viral news stories, urban legends, and we try to determine if they are true or false, fiction or
Nonfiction.
And today we have a very special episode. I feel like I'm announcing an after-school special on ABC, but no, our special episode is focusing on something that has definitely gotten a lot of media attention lately and unfortunately hits a little bit close to home here at the Windsor Public Library. We're talking about online scams.
Yeah, so on this episode, we're going to tell you two stories. Adam has one and I have one, and then we're going to talk about it, say if it's fiction or nonfiction, and tell you how we got this information. Online scams are even more rampant nowadays. People are finding really clever ways to scam people, and they make it seem legit when it's not necessarily so.
So just for people who may have no prior knowledge, if you had to explain to someone what an online scam is, what would you define it as, Dave?
An online scam is kind of like a phone scam or a marketing scam or whatever. People trying to get money from you for reasons that aren't true. So like they could be saying, "Oh, you're gonna buy this thing, and you send us money first, and then we'll send you this product." But the way that they do it is a little odd. Like you're not going online to an online store like Amazon or whatever you go to buy online things with an account that you set up. This is someone calling you. So it's kind of like a sales thing, and sometimes it gets kind of confusing because sometimes there are people that call on the phone or they send out things online for you to buy things. There's ads everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you know what's real? How do you know what's fiction? How do you know what's nonfiction?
It's interesting because you said this is about taking money, but it isn't always the case because sometimes the things that people are trying to scam out of you is your personal information.
Yeah, they might want to steal your identity, and that's much worse because then they would have access to your personal information and they can use it in very nefarious ways.
Exactly. So people can do credit checks, not in their name, in your name. They can try to apply for visas, passports, credit cards, again, with your information, or even sell your personal information to third parties. So this is a rampant thing that's going on right now, and I think just about everyone seems to have, to a degree, an online presence, so anyone who does needs to be cautious and take the precautions to avoid being the victim of fraud or a scam. And we're going to go through a pair of stories and then talk about some things you can do to prevent becoming the victim of an online scam. You know, we each have a story. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay.
And before we get started, I just want to say, in terms of these things, sometimes it is difficult to tell. But often, as is the case, if it sounds too good to be true, it almost always is.
Exactly.
And you have to be suspicious of why is this person contacting you? What is their reason? Because even if it seems like it's an innocent thing, unfortunately, sometimes it may seem that way and it is not.
And sometimes it's not always you who are being approached, but you who is doing the approaching, as we're going to hear in my story, which I call the unsuspecting victim of a romance scam.
Okay.
So this is a story about a woman who signed up for a 6-month subscription to a matchmaking website, a very famous one called Match.com. Now, in this website, you have to create a little pitch for yourself. Hers was very simple. Looking for a life partner. Successful, spiritually minded, intelligent, good sense of humor, enjoys dancing and traveling, no games. So, in those first few weeks, she exchanged some messages with a couple of men, but, after meeting them for coffee and lunch, she never really felt that anything clicked. But then suddenly, she saw this guy, this one who had a mysterious profile name called Dark and Sugar Clue.
Oh.
Interesting name. Well, according to his profile, he liked bluegrass music and lived only an hour away from her. And something else, according to all the credentials of this website, he was shown to be a 100% match for her. So she got to corresponding with him, and she initiated the correspondence. They soon got on very well together and started exchanging messages on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened is eventually a week went by without her actually getting an answer. So he then responded saying that he would love to get to meet her, he would love to know more about her, and also he provided her a personal email address for her to send correspondence to outside of the website.
Okay.
So, as they continued talking, she realized that this profile she originally saw on the website, Dark and Sugar Clue, disappeared. She asked, "Why did you pull it off the website?" And he said in a long message that he described himself as a computer systems analyst from North Hollywood, California, but he grew up in Manchester, England. Really, he only lived outside of her city from that hour distance that they were for 5 months. So basically, he just wanted to meet somebody, and so he canceled it after he started talking to this woman. So that's kind of legit, right?
I guess. It seems a little fishy.
The fishiness increases.
Okay.
So a few more months pass. They exchange more emails, and they start getting pretty close to each other. And he does devolve his name, his actual name. It's Dwayne. There was a problem, though. Early on, he spelt his name differently. Dwayne, D-U-A-N-E, whereas now he's spelling it D-W-A-Y-N-E. So there was a red flag there, but he was so charming and he just seemed to click with her so well, she just overlooked this. Well, it got to a point, however, where because of his background as a systems analyst, he said he traveled around a lot, including a trip out of the country where he needed money to actually help support payment for a visa to get out of the country.
Okay.
He just didn't have money on him because he was out of the country, and he would pay her back when he had the opportunity to.
Okay. This story's swimming more.
It's getting very swimmy. During this time, they continued to share correspondence. This goes on. She ends up wiring him $8,000.
Wow.
Now, he then asked for $10,000 to bribe immigration officials because of an expired visa. And he said if she did this, he would be able to set a flight date and be able to meet her the next day, pay her back the money, and then, of course, they could actually meet face-to-face, because, keep in mind, they had not met face-to-face yet. He never showed up. With growing suspicions, she asked him to send a selfie. To her relief, she did get a photo months later. According to a text he also sent, there was a delay that happened and he was held up at customs, and that's how come he was not able to reach their appointed date. However, more and more time passed between his messages. At one point, a 3-day period passed before she got a reply from him, again saying that he was held up at an immigration office. There were 2 other attempts made to meet each other, and on both attempts, he never showed up. Now, at this point, there was this job he was supposed to be doing in Malaysia, and he was supposed to be on a particular flight. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, the flight that infamously disappeared. So, she was very worried. She couldn't get a hold of Dwayne, and she was afraid that he had been on board. Finally, he called her, but the call went to her home landline, not the mobile phone she had been using. They spoke only for a few moments before the call broke up. She was disturbed, but relieved, but also curious. So, after some more correspondence happening for a few weeks, she ended up realizing something was off. It took all this time. So she took some of the photos that Dwayne had sent her, these selfies, into a Google image search, trying to trace where these photos may have came from. So she's showing some intelligence here. Now, eventually, up popped a LinkedIn page of a man with a name she had never heard before. Whoever Dwayne was, this person wasn't him. She then decided to Google romance scam, and after reading, understood what had happened. she was scammed, and she had sent this person a total of more than $300,000.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was just 10.
Nope. It totally amounted to that.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So, Dave, I know I went on a lengthy story. Is this an unfortunate true tale, or is this a fictitious little story that I created for you?
I want it to be fictitious, but I do believe that this is a true fact story.
I regret to say it is indeed a true story. So, this was actually a story that's accounted on a website. It's from the American Association of Retired Persons, or better known by the acronym AARP, and they're a great resource. You can go to their website, and they do give information. They give lifestyle advice to senior citizens, as well as information on how to do things like avoid becoming the victim of scams. And this is one incident in a lengthy article talking about many times where senior citizens were the victims of scams. This person, who is part of this whole scam for this dating site, she was recently widowed, and just a few years after her husband's passing, finally decided to date again. She was well over 60 by the time this happened.
Wow.
So, former fraudsters have given details over the years about how romance scams actually work and how they're used to take money and personal information from victims. Basically, they can use stolen credit card numbers to flood dating sites with fake profiles, like the Dwayne profile, the dark and sugar clue. So, to snare women, they often pose as older men, financially secure. Oftentimes, this is interesting, with a background in the military or engineering professions, because this gives them an excuse to be out of the country or away from communication devices for a while. Now, ideally, their prospective victim is the one who makes the first move. So this was unfortunately one of those things I alluded to at the beginning of the story. It wasn't that this person necessarily sought her out, but this person left bait to encourage her to continue. And even though she just innocently was looking for a life partner, someone to be intimate with, she ended up being groomed as the victim for this scam. And then after the scammer learns everything they can about the target, they launch a campaign of love notes and gifts in some case to authenticate or give the idea that they really are interested in them. So yeah, a very lengthy story, but one I think that shows the perils of how easy it is to fall into this. It isn't just receiving fake-looking emails or becoming the victim of a it sounds too good, it can't be true scam. This is someone part of a reputable website that you have to have a credit card to sign up for, and yet still became a victim of fraud.
Crazy story, but unfortunately it was true.
I will say one thing too, this isn't just for dating websites, even marketplace websites like Amazon. Yeah, they have pretty good encryption for putting in your credit card information, but if an independent seller or store is requesting more information, be wary about that. The Amazon vendors are supposed to be your liaison between you and whomever's selling the object or the item on Amazon, so use caution even in those types of online environments.
In those situations, if you are going to buy something from like a marketplace type thing, read reviews on them. Sometimes that will help. If it's all good reviews and it seems legit, well, then it might be fine. But if you see a lot of really negative things, like a lot, then, maybe stay away from that.
Yeah, be wary. So that was my story. Dave, I know you have one that you're going to be sharing.
All right, so I have a story I'm going to tell you, and I want you to tell me whether this is fact, or fictional.
Okay.
So this, I didn't give it a title, but I'll give it a title. It's called The Little Puppy That Could.
Aww.
And this involves a scam with people buying puppies.
Oh.
Okay, so a man from Mississauga recently lost his puppy, and he was looking for a new one. He placed an ad online on Kijiji stating that he was looking for a specific type of puppy. He heard back from someone stating that they had this type of dog and could ship it out to him. He was instructed he needs to pay a shipping fee of $750 and a COVID vaccine fee of $850 and a travel insurance fee as well of $1,450.
Just to clarify, a COVID vaccine fee for the dog?
Yes.
Okay.
So they said these fees were necessary. Now, they first started off by just saying we need to pay a shipping fee and an insurance fee for travel. So the way a lot of these scams work is they'll say, we need just a little bit of money because we're sending you this thing. So usually they'll start off by saying, and in this case they said, oh, you need to pay a shipping fee of $750. And he's like, oh, okay, that's fine. You're sending me a dog. But then after that, they reached out. They said, well, there's more fees. We need to have a COVID vaccine fee. That's $850. And there's also an insurance fee for travel. You're sending an animal through the mail. It's $1,450. So these things, $1,450. It just increased each time. So this person did do these things. They did pay. They really wanted a dog. Unfortunately, this was a person who had kind of a loss, and they wanted another dog, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But this person, well, this is what they did. He was instructed to send these funds, but also at one point they said, you need to send these funds to me through Amazon gift cards. This is when the Mississauga man thought, something's off here. So, what do you think? Do you think this is fiction or nonfiction?
Now, I will say I know events like this have happened in the past where people have sold dogs online and asked for some sort of fee, even if it is like a preparation fee, and then they never actually deliver the dog. No, I'm going to say nonfiction for the idea of a dog being sold online, it just being a scam. But for the Amazon card thing, I'm going to say that part of the story is fiction.
Okay. This whole story is true.
That's horrifying.
Okay. So this isn't the first thing, first time I did a little bit of research on this. And if you're wondering where I got this story from, this was actually a news story on CTV News in Toronto, because the guy was from Mississauga. So, and there's a lot of things they can say, like, we were mentioning the AARP, but you can also in Canada reference the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, which has a lot of different types of these scams online. You can read about them. Anyways, for this case, this was true. They never received a dog, obviously, and then they kind of stopped before they were going to send this money, and then when they did the gift card thing, they stopped. The problem is, during this time when this story happened, it was right when the pandemic started. So there has been a lot of puppy scams that happened, and they would say, oh, well, we can't meet in person, you can't see the dog because of COVID and health precautions. So what they did is they took advantage of these people in this way. Not to say that this didn't happen during non-COVID times, because it did. It just seems like it's happening more often now. So what they suggest is, if you can't see the dog in person, ask them to do like a video chat, Zoom, Skype, whatever, just so you can see that it's a real dog. You should never pay money through gift cards, wire transfer, Bitcoin, because it's basically impossible to get back once that happens.
Mm-hmm.
The man in the story said he regrets being scammed out of money, but he was able to get another dog directly from a breeder. You can get dogs directly from a breeder. And he just wanted to share this story. So this is a true thing that happened. These are true stories. Both these stories are true, unfortunately. And this dog story happens a lot. There's been stories of people being taken for a lot of money. And that last story, it was $1,450 plus $850 plus $750. A lot of people was more than that.
That's ridiculous. And for both of the examples we gave, which were unfortunately true stories, it was the person approaching someone that were the victim of a fraud, of a scam. And I did mention how this was hitting pretty close to home. Recently, the Windsor Public Library has been erroneously titled as being an entity seeking funds or offering employment to people under the guise that you have to pay a membership fee for some sort of work that we want you to do. And there's been ads on job sites and on boards and forums, and this is not true. We want to make it very clear. This comes directly from our management team, that at no point do we directly solicit or ask for donations or money from patrons. You certainly can make cash donations and donations if you want to on our website, and only on our official website, windsorpubliclibrary.com, but using no other third-party websites, no other boards are we currently or ever soliciting money, donations, anything like that. And I guess the biggest fraud now is that there are scammers who are posing as employees of Windsor Public Library, putting up posts asking for people to work for us to do translation work. But the thing is, you have to pay a fee in order to be accepted as a member, and then you can do the work. And it turns out some poor people, unfortunately, not only do they pay money, but then they perform work, this sort of translation work, hours and hours worth, and they don't get compensated for it because it's a scam. And this fraudster, this scammer, they're reaping the benefits of other people's work and probably selling this stuff to somebody else.
Yeah, and we just want to say, we're not going to be asking people for money in return for a service. If there is a job posting, we are not going to directly contact you. You have to apply for it. For example, for the Windsor Public Library, we're with the City of Windsor, so it will be posted on the City of Windsor website. And that's how you know it's a real thing. You have to apply for it. We're never going to ask you money. Even when you come into the library, if you live in Windsor, we don't ask money for a card. It's free.
Always check. If it's not our library, if it's some other organization, go to that organization's official website before applying to any job on a third-party website. Verify that this application that you're about to send in is going to an authentic job. And let us know. Also, if you happen to be the victim of a scam or fraud involving the Windsor Public Library, we do want to hear from you. We need you to not only file a police report, but we do encourage you to contact us. You can, of course, reach us easily on our website, windsorpubliclibrary.com, or our official phone number at 519-255-6770.
Yeah, so some things you can do, okay? If you're unsure of something, where is this coming from? Go to the source. There are websites that, third-party websites, they post jobs. But go to the source. Usually, if there is a posting on one of these sites, there's also a posting on the official site. If you're unsure, you can check with them. You can say, I saw this thing. Are you hiring? You can always ask.
Another clear giveaway, and I think enough people don't realize this, relating to the scam that we are having our name attached to, make sure that if you have a contact email, it's for the organization itself. A lot of people are giving out email contacts, but they're Gmail or Yahoo email accounts. Our emails always end with @windsorpubliclibrary.com, and verify that for whatever organization it is that you're applying to or that you're trying to submit information to. Make sure that it's an accurate email address.
Yeah, that's a big one. Check the email. If it's like windsorpubliclibrary1@gmail.com, that's not an address we would have. Ours end in windsorpubliclibrary.com. Or it could be cityofwindsor.ca if you're applying for a job through them. But that's listed on their site when there is a posting.
Exactly. And I'll also say, as per the stories that we're hearing, not only about the Windsor Public Library scam, where our name is embroiled in this, but also the two scams we talked about, the one with the dog and the one with the romance scam. Don't ever provide money unless you're actually paying for a service or an item. If anyone's asking for any sort of collateral down, that's the first sign right there that is some sort of scam. And before agreeing to pay, do some research and find out. In fact, contact the library. Again, give us a call or go to our website, where our librarians can perform some research for you and determine whether or not this inquiry, this posting, is authentic or not.
Yeah. One last thing, just want to mention also information. Someone shouldn't be asking for your social insurance number just for applying for a job. They shouldn't be asking for your bank account number or anything like that. That's odd.
No, exactly. Maybe after you get approved for a position.
Or you go through an interview, that's different.
But you have to receive some sort of package for them as well.
Yeah.
So you'll get some sort of orientation package, something authentic from the organization. So that's another way. Dave, you mentioned that great website people can go to learn more about these scams and these types of frauds. What's that resource again?
Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. If you type that in Google, you'll find it. But the website URL is actually www.antifraudcenter, spelled with an R-E, not E-R, dash center anti-fraud with an E on the end, .ca.
All right. Well, Dave, a little bit of a heavy episode, but one I think we really needed to share. We're going to come back next episode with a little bit more of a lighter subject. With that said, I'm Adam.
I'm Dave.
And this has been Fiction
or Nonfiction.